Hello and welcome to our next episode, episode 9, Sundays with Giovanni. And I'm Susan Lange and I'm interviewing or having a chat with Giovanni Maciocia in his library. So we call these library chats. And I just want to let you know that some people have thought that these were planned interviews, and they're not. They're just not, they're improvised chats, because often I have a burning question that students have asked me, and I come to the Master Scholar Giovanni to answer the questions for me. So sometimes I put Giovanni on the spot, many times, I apologize, but they are, I'm just always in awe of the way Giovanni is able to draw from this deep wellspring from inside him and his knowledge. He must be channeling the ancients, I think. And it's always fascinating, and I always feel that it's so relevant and topical to our day and age, our modern day and age, and hopefully these are helpful for you, and we hope that you're able to actually use this in your private practice immediately, or in your life with your family and friends. So today we are continuing our little mini-series on the spirits of the 5 elements. And one of the reasons I brought this question to Giovanni, what are the spirits and how do they affect us, is because sometimes in our current day we seem to be so scattered. And the Chinese, it's very important to them about everything flowing and being in balance. So Giovanni's been talking to us about what happens when a spirit of an element or an organ in the body is out of balance. And today we're going to discuss Je, which is actually my favorite. I know you said Hun was one of yours, or one of the most common syndromes, but to me so much comes back to the kidneys and the Je. So over to you, Maestro.
Thank you, Susan. So far we've talked about the Shen of the heart and the Hun of the liver. So, and this is the Je of the kidneys. And the word Je can be translated in many different ways. In my books, where I usually translate all Chinese terms, I call Je the willpower. We'll see in a moment why. And it's an acceptable translation of the word Je. But as it happens in Chinese language, one character can have simultaneous translations, all of them acceptable. So willpower is only one aspect of the Je of the kidneys. By the way, before we go on talking about the Je, I want to say something to clarify a little bit what we said about the Hun. We're talking about the 5 spirits, right?
You're right.
But the Hun and Po are completely different than the other 3.
Yeah.
Totally different. Shen, Yi, and Je together correspond basically to our cognition, memory, and emotions.
So heart is cognition.
No, all 3 together.
All 3 together.
If you ask me, what does memory depend on? Which organ does memory depend on? I would say heart, spleen, and kidneys. All 3 of them.
So heart, spleen, and kidneys.
Yeah. The Shen, the Yi, and the Je.
Shen, Yi, and Je. Cognition.
Cognition, memory, and emotions.
Memory
Crucially,
and emotions.
also emotions. Crucially.
Emotions, and that is part of the whole flow of the Je, the Shen.
Yeah, basically corresponds to the Western view of the nervous, of the cognition and memory. Okay. Hun and Po are completely different. And how do we know they're completely different? Because their characters contains the character for we.
So Po does too. I know we talked about
Po
that.
does too, yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Now, just as an aside, we have a whole little episode on Gui. I think it's episode
Yeah, we did
3.
that.
Yes.
Gui, what is Gui? Gui is basically the soul of a dead person,
Yes.
or the spirit of a dead person. And as we saw last time, the Hun survives after death, and the Po doesn't, because the Po belongs to earth, so he dies with the body. The Hun does not. And as I said last time, it has nothing to do with reincarnation.
No.
These ideas were in China before the introduction of Buddhism. But the important thing is that they are Gui. Or not that they are Gui, but they have the nature of a Gui. And what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
That they have their own independent existence from the Shen.
Mm-hmm.
Their own life. The Yi of the spleen doesn't have its own independent existence.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the Shen of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
They go together. They're very closely related. Shen, Yi, and Je. Hun and Po are two souls. They have their independent existence. One ethereal and one corporeal.
So the Hun is the ethereal and the Po is the corporeal.
Yeah.
So that's the body soul.
Yeah.
And the Hun is the ethereal soul.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I said last time, Chinese books, when they talk about Hun and Po, they always mention the theme of movement. They move.
Mm-hmm.
What moves with the coming and going of the Shen is the Hun. That's what all the books used to say.
So the Shen moves because of the Hun?
Because of the Hun, yes.
Otherwise, if there wasn't Hun moving, Shen would be more peaceful?
I wouldn't necessarily say peaceful. More, no, it wouldn't function very well.
No.
Without that movement of the Hun.
So
the movement of the Hun is essential.
So it cannot survive. Shen cannot survive without the Hun.
I wouldn't even say it cannot survive. But let's say it will be like a person. Have you ever heard of the case of a HM? In psychiatry, HM was famous in psychiatry because he was someone here in America.
I think you were talking about...
Who was identified by his initials, HM. Mm-hmm. He was someone who had terrible, terrible epilepsy as a child. Mm-hmm. Terrible, like 50 attacks a day. Mm. So he was operated on the brain, which helped the epilepsy, but he lost his memory. His memory from that time onwards. So he didn't remember anything in the short, he lost his short-term memory. If you went into the room, you say, "Oh, good morning, Mr. HM." If you go there 10 minutes later, he wouldn't know, he said, "Who are you?" 10 minutes later, he lost his short memory. Mm-hmm. So he still had a Shen, but without the Hun. There's no movement of the Hun. So I wouldn't say that the Shen is peaceful without the Hun.
Okay. But without the Hun, he couldn't remember anything.
No.
So what you're saying is he lost his Hun when he got operated on.
Yes, yes.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
So I just wanted to say that as an introduction. We're talking about the Je, and the Je, Yi, and Shen go very much together, very closely related. Okay. As I said, if someone asks me what does memory depend on, I would say all three of them. Mm-hmm. Shen, Yi, and Je. You can try and find different ways in which they affect different types of memory, but basically there's an overlap. There's a lot of overlap between the Shen, the Yi, and the Je.
So just to clarify then, Mr. HM, who lost his memory and he lost his Hun, is that a different type of memory from the memory connected with Shen, the Yi, and the Je?
No, it's part of it.
It's part of it,
yeah.
Okay.
So, going back to the Je is the spirit of the kidneys. Okay. You can translate it as willpower, and it does definitely influence your willpower, mm-hmm. your determination, your enthusiasm. For example, we said that the Hun is responsible for planning and your sense of direction in life and mm-hmm. things like that. So you could have a good Hun, so to speak, good Hun, and you know what you should do, mm-hmm. but you still need a Je to do it. Without Je, you wouldn't do it, because the Je gives you that strength, that initiative, that willpower to do it.
So if you take as an example, often these days there are kids who, they have ideas and dreams and visions, but they can't actually put it into action.
That would be the
That
Je.
would be weak Je.
But even worse is not having those ideas, which depends on the Hun.
Mm-hmm.
It's even worse, I would say.
Okay.
So you need two stages.
Yeah.
One, that drive of the Hun,
mm-hmm.
that so you know your sense of direction in life, plans and things like that. Mm-hmm. Second stage, you need the Je to do it.
Yeah, so you have to have both.
Well, of course,
yes.
Yeah. And Je, interestingly, the term Je, was introduced by Meng Zi, not the doctor. which is interesting. There are quite a few things in Chinese medicine that were actually discussed or introduced by philosophers, the Chinese philosophers.
Okay.
There's a kind of an overlap. This philosopher talked about, many philosophers talk about Qi all the time, for example, and Shen as well. And interesting, the word Zhe was introduced by Mengzi, M-E-N-G.
I don't know him. I've never.
He's a famous Confucian philosopher around 300 BC. He's the one who said that human nature is inherently good.
Okay.
We don't need to work at it. Human nature is inherently good. Unlike Xunzi, another philosopher, another Confucian philosopher, who said that human nature is potentially bad and you need to work at it. You need to train it to become good. Mengzi said we need that.
And what do you think? Out of interest.
I think it's inherently good.
So you are a Mengzi follower.
Yeah. Mengzi was a great philosopher, very interesting theory of the four hearts he had.
Okay.
And anyway, he introduced this term Zhe, which he said is will. He considered it the will. And that's what we say in Chinese medicine too, as I said. That's why I translated it as willpower.
Yes.
And by the way, the character for Zhe is here. I don't know if you can see it. The character at the top is Zhe, and you can break it down into two parts. The bottom part is the heart, and the upper part is She. And as you can see, the meaning of She is a scholar, can be a general of an army, an important person, what else? A soldier, a gentleman, a person trained in a certain field, also a general and an officer.
So that's that one that's in the middle here.
In the middle, yeah.
Sure. Okay, got that one there. Okay.
Okay.
So we've got the one at the bottom, which is the heart,
The heart.
and then the one in the middle, which is the top of the character, which is the scholar.
So this gives you an idea. So the Zhe influences the heart,
Okay.
and it is an important person, a leader. Let's say
A
a leader. Yeah, that's probably the best English word. A
So-
leader. So, and it gives that to our mental, emotional life.
So again, it gives like a structure,
A structure, yes.
and that willpower is the structure.
And it's interesting, of course, that it has the heart at the bottom. So it
Yes.
indicates the connection with the heart and the Shen of the heart.
Is it about keeping the heart in balance?
Yes,
Is it?
keep the heart in balance
Like
and
an anchor?
yes. And giving that quality of the leader, someone who's
That's pretty powerful.
very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it intention as well?
Intention as well, yes, very good, yes. Another ancient text that does use actually the word
That word
intention,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
See, very cool. This is where it begins, the intention.
And interestingly, not by chance, it resides in the kidneys, which houses Jing.
See, another of my favorites, Jing.
The essential, the essence that we derive from the parents, that determines our constitution.
So that comes from like ancestral chi.
Ancestral
Or
chi, yes.
So the parents. So this is really important. It's important that the parents have good Jing, for you to inherit good Jing.
Yes.
And good Jing. Shall we define Jing in another episode, or?
Probably we'll leave it for another episode. Yeah, but
We will keep you hanging.
it's interesting that the Zhe resides in the kidneys. So the kidneys is the foundation.
Yes.
It's the water, belongs to the water. The heart is at the top.
Yes.
So you need that foundation.
And this is where heart and kidney
And
need
that
to
communication
communicate.
of heart and kidneys, which we discussed actually in another afternoon.
Yes.
What else did you want to know about the Zhe?
About the Zhe. Well, here's something controversial, okay? I was recently at a conference on trauma healing, and this guy presented who runs Heart Math. Have you heard of Heart Math?
No.
It's in America, I think it's California, and it's very big, and it's about he was talking about the coherency and the importance of the heart and the field that they've measured.
Heart.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of studies that prove that the heart has this massive field that
Mm-hmm.
can help regulate and bring people into balance. So whenever anybody brings that up, I'm always going, well, what about the je
Yes.
and the jing and the kidneys? They just don't have instruments yet that measure the power of the kidneys,
Yeah,
is my
of
thought.
course.
What do you think?
Yes, of course. When you say the power of the heart, you mean physically the heart?
Yes, that it radiates and it's incredibly healing, and it has this incredible frequency.
Yeah, I would agree with that because it houses the Shen.
Because it has this, but I think,
But, of course, we need the je of the kidneys.
yes,
Without the je of the kidneys, it has no foundation.
yes. So
No
this
will.
is really important because Chinese practitioners understand it, but in the West they're going, everything's about the heart.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing from you is that it needs to be in balance. Is
Of
that-
course. And I think for our mental emotional life, the three important ones are heart, liver and kidneys. Shen, Hun and Je
Mhm. Okay.
on the left side.
Yes.
For example, in depression, this pathology of one or two or three of these, Shen, Hun and Je.
Shen Hun. Okay. So then let's go to some stories.
And
about-
no, I was going to say, how do you treat the Je?
Yes,
Very simple.
exactly.
Tonify the kidneys.
You tonify
Very
the
simple.
kidneys.
Kidney 3, bladder 23,
Kidney 3,
bladder
Bladder
23,
23.
and Ren 4.
and Ren 4. And those are your key points.
Mm-hmm. Yes, to tonify the Je. Also, in addition to bladder 23, is bladder 52 that is called Je She,
Just
the room of Je. This Je that we just seen.
So the times you would need to treat the je is when it could be Shen coming out of control,
Mhm.
people a little bit crazy.
Yes, yeah, to give that root.
You would give them the root. So the je basically creates our roots. If we have weak je, then our roots are weak.
And I
They're
also
scattered.
tonify the Je nearly always in depression, when a person is depressed. Because even though it's usually pathology of the Hun and Shen,
Mm-hmm.
you still need that strength to get out of the depression, to give
Yeah.
you that strength.
And you have to
fight
want
it,
to
to
get
want
out of
it,
it.
actually, exactly.
Yes, to get out of the depression.
Exactly. So you need the Je. Well,
So what happens if we kind of slide a little bit into Jing is if the Jing, the inherited part, is not that strong,
yeah, of course the Je is also affected.
then the Je is going to be affected.
Yes, definitely.
So how would you treat that?
In the same way,
Same
no
way.
different.
So any special
Ren
Jing?
4, bladder 23. No, the same. Ren 4
Ren
is
4
my
is your
favorite
favorite.
point.
Okay.
It's only 5 kidneys and Jing.
And Jing. So that's your favorite Jing point.
By the way, I have noticed in my practice that heavy use of marijuana, cannabis,
Mm-hmm.
weakens the Je. That's
This
my my view,
Mm-hmm.
my experience.
And you can feel that on the pulses, you can feel because they're more scattered.
Well, you can
feel.
also see how they
You can
behave,
see.
what they do. It weakens the Je.
So, and how do they behave that gives you?
Well, they have no drive.
They don't
No
have
drive.
drive.
Yeah, another word
that make
related
sense?
to Je is actually drive.
Yeah, so they have no
As well.
drive. They're just, okay.
Mm.
And there were actually some articles on the use of cannabis in Acupuncture Today, which is an online magazine about acupuncture. And I think there were a couple of articles a year or two ago about the effects of that on the body. That yes, it's got all these incredible
Yes.
gifts, which are very helpful for people in the current day and age, especially instead of opioids.
Yes, yes.
And there are some side effects that are they irreversible, or would you
No,
think
I
they're
don't
reversible?
think they're reversible, no.
So basically, when you treat,
You can still treat it the same
So-
way, tonified Je, yes.
how about herbal formulas?
Herbal formulas, any kidney tonic tonified Je. My favorite...
Kidney yin or kidney balance? Kidney yin and
either.
Either.
One.
So,
The herbal formula I use to tonify the kidneys are Yorgui 1 and Zhuogui 1, which are from Jiangjing Yuan.
okay.
Most people here in the United States would use Jingui Yao Lue for kidney yang
Yeah.
and Liu Wei Ti 1 for kidney yin,
Yeah.
which is fine, and they're great great prescriptions. I prefer, for various reasons, I prefer those two, Yorgui 1 and Zhuogui 1.
Okay.
Yorgui 1 is for the kidney yang, Zhuogui 1 is for kidney yin. But the Zhe is affected by both. A weakness of the Zhe may manifest with kidney yang or kidney yin, either one.
So if you're a layperson watching this, then you would need to consult with a highly experienced, qualified acupuncturist to determine if you're kidney yin deficient or kidney yang deficient. So it gets into much more complexity than we're covering today, which is a simple overview of the importance of Zhe. But I know you have your herbal formulas, your own, in your Three Treasures line.
Yeah, I have two formula which are a variation of Yorgui 1 and Zhuogui 1.
What are their names?
Strengthen the root.
Strengthen the root.
It's the one for kidney yang, and nourish the root is the one for kidney yin.
Okay, because those are easier to understand than your Wei 1 and Zhuogui 1.
Yes. Yo means right side, and Zhuo means left. It goes back to the ancient idea in the Nanjing that the right kidney is kidney yang, and the left kidney is kidney yin.
Oh, that's easy. That's nice and clear. Then this is we've talked about points. We've talked about the kind of manifestations and some symptoms that you can recognize. There's something we touched on in the early episodes, which is, and I think this is important, the intention of the practitioner. And I would take that into life. It's like your intention, not just of the acupuncturist doing the needling, but your intention in terms of, hands-on bodywork practice or anything you do in terms of any business or your focus with your children. And Zhe is a really important part of it, isn't it?
Yes, I would say so. Zhe and Shen, the two together.
So, and you talked about
the
how
intention of the practitioner is very important. Even in modern China, when I was in Nanjing, and in modern China, in Nanjing, especially I'm talking about 1980, when I was in China the first time, when it was still a communist country, which it isn't now. And even though they were communists, they still believed in directing qi with your mind. Like if they wanted the sensation, they needed a sensation to go to the thumb, and you insert line 5, for example, you mentally direct the qi from line 5 to the thumb. The intention of the practitioner.
So that's the Zhe.
That's the Zhe, yes. Yeah. And that's very much part of what we do.
And I remember what you were saying was that that's why it's hard to do trials, acupuncture trials.
Absolutely. In my opinion, it's almost impossible to do clinical trials because of this factor.
And yet, if acupuncturists were trained, that the intention is really important.
It's fundamental.
Yeah, so that could actually take, explode results.
I always say acupuncture has a shamanistic quality.